Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, Cancardi Radio and Success Radio Canada and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.
Beginning Monday, the 25th of October 2021 and continuing every week, Mondays and Fridays, it's the biggest conversation right here on Bay Hill Radio Station. Bell the nation, bell the nation, bell the nation. We're going to be talking solutions. So why not tune in and make your contributions? Bay Hill Radio, giving the best expressions of you.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is 1784-529-8518.
I see them coming after my soul, wanting to take control. Wanna give me laughs, wanna give me bling, wanna give me all the material things. I hear them talking about what the world has to.
Hello. Hey, girl. Come on. Today's biggest conversation is right here on Bay Hill Radio Station with your host, the one and only Doris Charles.
Well, hello there. Hello there. Welcome to this evening's program, to another edition of Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation with your hostess, Doris Charles. Some folks call me Dr. Frederick, the one and the same. So glad that you can make it. Our sponsors for this evening's program is Bay Hill News Network, taking the internet by storm, spreading the news around the globe with a distinctive incensant flair. And Frederick Sambola Sauces, available from Domich Enterprises in Kittels. Telephone 491-3923. And just in case you want to place your orders for glutenate, which is a fried gluten, as well as your gluten stews, delicious and finger-licking vegan foods for the Christmas, you can do so. 491-3923. And so, friends, neighbors, I hope you've had a great day so far. And I invite you now to get yourself a drink and let's get comfortable. Come on over, come spend the next hour and a half and let us converse. Again, this is your host, your girl from the Valley of Vermont. Welcome again to the biggest conversation on this side of the globe. Bell the nation, bell the nation. Our thought for today is, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. And that's taken from Micah chapter 6 and verse 8. Some folks have asked, well, why do you need another talk show? Why not? That's my response. Why not? Because this Bell the Nation program, Bell the Nation talk show, it's unique. Level of interaction is designed to be holistic in its approach towards any issue. Also, we have a drive towards creating that particular avenue where solutions may be derived, and to allow you to speak to us for effective and informative dialogue and solutions. The number to call us here is 529-8518. 529-8518. 8518. Also, you can join me in the studio. Make that special call. If you want to come and sit with me one of these evenings in our live studio, we have no problem with that. You can also email us at belld@gmail.com. So that call 529-8518 or email us at belldnation@gmail.com. So it's Bell the Nation at your service. Today's issue is that particular topic called coronavirus. You know, we're asking some tough questions today that have plagued the minds of Vincent Chinese, as well as hundreds of millions of people around the world. One thing is for certain, the questions, they keep on coming. Folks want to know, can the current vaccine save lives? Why is there a vaccine as opposed to another type of medication? Some claim that there may be something in the making. I don't know. If so, what is it? Some advocate for ivermectin, but there is controversy. And we at Bell Nation want to know, why is there a push to have the whole world vaccinated? And there are other questions like, does the vaccine provide immunity or protection against disease or its spread? Even after I take the vaccine, can I still get COVID? The interesting thing is about 3 or 4 nights ago, I was visiting a friend of mine, and a mutual friend dropped by. We had not seen him for a few weeks, and he began the conversation about his recent ordeal. He was doubly vaccinated, he said, and yet he still contracted the coronavirus. So I started to lament the fact that, did you wear your mask? Were you wearing your mask all the time? And he said, no. And he said, you know, give an idea as to where he thought he would have contracted that disease. But the question is, he was in some pain. He said he was hospitalized and is now recovering. And his plea was that the disease was serious and that he was not really helped by the vaccine. He's begging people to be very careful with it, making sure that you social distance, you put on your mask for whatever it's worth, and protect yourself. You advocate things like local remedies, for example, drinking of your garlic mixed with all your herbs and you know, the leaves and so on that you gather around. Ginger is one, and I think, you know, drop a few pieces of basil or basil in your drink and so on. Be that as it may, the questions keep coming. Why am I being given a vaccine if it doesn't offer me protection against this dreaded disease? Yeah, the other thing too is that some folks swear by the vaccine and they say that they have no symptoms for months now. I'm asking the question, and I want you to call me. 529, come on, get that number ready. It's 529-8518. I'm asking the question, are you suffering in any way? What advice can you give to our listening audience? Is there something that the doctors are not telling us? Is this vaccine some sort of a silent killer? Does it really affect my DNA or my genes in any way? And I've been doing some digging because there are arguments on both sides of this question. as Vincentians, we sit on a daily basis or you can move around in the communities, and some of us really don't know who to believe. Maybe we can stimulate further discussion from you, our listening audience. So call us and let's have that conversation. A young girl approached me recently and she said, "My sister, as a Christian, should I take the vaccine? And if so, will God punish me?" I didn't know what to think of it. I really didn't know. Isn't it enough that I refuse the vaccine? This is what she was saying, and allow my body's natural immunity to kick in? I don't know, but you call me. Call us 529-8518. 529-8518. As I wait your calls, we dig a little deeper into what really is this coronavirus. As far as I can tell, it is a severe, acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, or SARS, SARS, CoV-2 pandemic. The Chinese scientists say the novel coronavirus will not be eradicated. We're not getting rid of it. That's basically what they're saying. And they added to a growing consensus around the world that the pathogen will likely return in waves like the flu. We scan the news around the globe for information about that virus, and here's what we can take away from it all. That there's definitely confusion as to where it originated and how it got here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a small island developing state, all the way miles and miles away from China. We are here in the Caribbean, and this thing will spread like wildfire all over the world. No one knows for sure how the disease is transmitted. There's much speculation, of course. Some say if you sneeze too hard and you're standing in front of someone, or you speak into someone else's face, a certain distance, that person will contract the disease, even from those who are vaccinated. It is advocated by the health professionals here that we should practice social distance. Now, the word social distance, it's just within recent times I'm beginning to understand what that means, what the word social distance. So there's a distance that is accepted, that is 2 or 3 feet away from the person who is standing either in front of you or behind you. Okay. There's still no explanation on how the disease, no full explanation, on how the disease is transmitted, whether it's through the air or what. But nonetheless, we are where we are. Again, call us 529-8518. So, who is responsible for the patents of these vaccines? We have Moderna, we have Pfizer, and other vaccines that are being produced. And my question is whether the profit margin for these companies is put above the consideration for lives and livelihoods. Here in St. Vincent, I am hearing talk about the Pfizer vaccine. And I'm asking a question again. Will a COVID-19 vaccine genetically modified humans, given the talk of the 4th industrial revolution? And I'll talk a little bit about that later on. And is it true that you will own nothing at the end of the period and you will be happy given the context of this new thinking? And what does the COVID-19 vaccine have to do with the 4th industrial revolution? What's that all about? Call us at 529-8518. 529-8518. And you're listening into Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation compliments Bay Hill News Network. So the state of an economy, especially small island developing states like ours, is under consideration in light of the COVID-19 disease. Is the COVID injection or vaccine the only hope for economic revival here? Why? Why not? The other questions are whether we as a people will live against all odds. So that people don't get the vaccine. And more you're hearing every day, 30-something persons born with the disease, another 10, another 25, and a couple thousand persons were so far were impacted or affected as a result. So as time progresses, we as people will live among against all the odds. Yes, some persons are going to die. And ask myself, will I die prematurely? Whether the vaccines were sufficiently developed so as to be safe for use, that's another issue. Why is it that there is a global push to implement mandatory vaccination? Where does the Intention National stand when it comes to challenging the government in court on mandatory vaccination? And if at all, what's the process that they should actually initiate and pursue? We are part of CARICOM, yes? And as a world turns, our economists, our farmers, our government are telling us that indeed we are getting poorer. The ripple effects will reach each of us sooner rather than later. And this is a harsh reality. But I'm asking the question, does this have to be so? Can we do anything to help ourselves? As individuals, as family members, as a village, as entrepreneurs, as a country, can we do anything else outside of this whole bit of taking a vaccine? Can we do anything else to help ourselves and our neighbors? Of course, there's a closure of schools or a phased reopening. When businesses are closed or were closed at one point in time, and then they are now open in some places. We hear the results of lockdowns and or measures being put in place by government or businesses to curb the spread of this virus. Some people even call it the plague. Is there hope for return to normalcy? Can the economies of the world or businesses be turned around and return to normal or near normal or to a state of pre-COVID? Since the economies of the civilized world are affected, there is an organization that is significant for us to note or to re-examine. And I'm going to tell you about a gentleman by the name of Claus Martin Schwab. He was born in 1938, and he's a German engineer and economist. And he's best known as the founder and the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. Hold that word in your head, the World Economic Forum. And along with his wife, they co-founded the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship. In 1971, he founded the European Management Forum, which in 1987 became the World Economic Forum, often referred to simply as Davos. Hold that word again in your head, because that's the name of a town where the forum is hosted each year. So you will have the Davos Manifesto or the Davos Agenda, because a manifesto and an agenda would have taken its name basically from the town, the name of the town Davos. and it is a not-for-profit foundation committed to improving the state of the world. And so the World Economic Forum was founded in 1971, the same year in which Schwab published Modern Enterprise Management in Mechanical Engineering. And so in that book, he argued that the management of a modern enterprise must serve not only shareholders, but also stakeholders to achieve long-term growth and prosperity. In short, there is a little difference between a shareholder and a stakeholder. Shareholder is always a stakeholder, but a stakeholder is not always a shareholder. So a shareholder owns the shares of a company. A stakeholder is a member of a group that has an interest in the company's business for different reasons, apart from just stock performance and the kind of aspect probably affected by the business. The majority of the times, the shareholders or stakeholders rather in the company are investors or shareholders, bondholders, employees, customers, and suppliers. And so Schwab, he championed the multi-stakeholder concept since the World Economic Forum's inception. But here comes 2015, and the World Economic Forum was formally recognized by the Swiss government as an international body. But way back in 1998, when they founded, he and his wife founded the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship that was based in Geneva. In 2004, we go back a little further, he created a new foundation using $1 million US dollars. He got a prize money that he received from Israel. And then he started promoting the Forum of Young Global Leaders. Their aim now was a dynamic global community of exceptional people who were under 40. And they had the vision and courage and influence to drive a positive change in the world. Remember to call us 529-8518. 529-8518. We are Belling the Nation. Belling the Nation. And we are giving you context this evening as to where we are when it comes to the COVID vaccine, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and the influence of some of these names like Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum. In 2011, Schwab founded the Global Chapel Community, a global network of local communities or hubs of young people aged 20 to 30. They were exceptional in their potential, achievements, and drive to make a contribution to their communities. But you know, as of September this year, there were 444 hubs with over 10,000 shapers. A few years back, they gave the University, Kaunas University of Technology, gave Schwab a doctorate, 45th honorary doctorate. He became their 45th honorary doctor for spreading the knowledge on economy and innovative ideas for fostering social entrepreneurship and support for young businesses, and for his contribution into developing the concept of the fourth industrial revolution. You hear that again? The fourth industrial revolution? And so, folks, Professor Klaus Schwab listed on the World Economic Forum page, you can search it for yourself, there is only one strategic foundation partnership, and that is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So when you hear people talking about, oh, Gates this and Gates that, you're wondering, well, how does Gates fit into the whole concept with the World Economic Forum? Well, he is part of it. He is the only strategic foundation partner. So Is it any wonder when the question is asked, what does Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have to do with the Caribbean states like St. Vincent and Grenadines within the context of COVID-19 vaccination? What does the World Economic Forum has to do with us, and so on, within the context of COVID-19? Or are there reasons for a push towards this fourth industrial revolution, as was briefly mentioned before, or other perceived pecuniary interest beyond the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic? And how effective can St. Vincent and the Grenadines be within that partnership that is forged, another partnership that is forged now between the United Nations, of which we are a part, and Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum? So a partnership, yes, was entered into. And this partnership now is called the Strategic Partnership Framework. It was signed between the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the World Economic Founder and Chief and Executive Chairman Klaus Schwab. That was in New York on the 13th of June 2019. Now, one of the areas within this framework, this strategic partnership framework, one of the areas they concentrated on was health. So that they were supposed to do what? Support countries in order for the island, so St. Vincent and Grenadines is one of those countries, to achieve good health and well-being for all its citizens within the context of the 2030 agenda, focusing on key emerging global health threats. So I'm wondering, support for countries like ours, is it by paying for medical programs? Is it for training? Is it for giving us thousands of COVID vaccines? And are there other development initiatives and other key areas that we give support to within the context of our 2013, of the United Nations 2013 agenda? All in all, this particular area in health is focusing on key emerging global health threats. And in this case, COVID-19 pandemic is one such global health threat that requires stronger multi-stakeholder partnership and action. And you can find that on reforum.org. And you log in and you're able to see where the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, of which we are a part, that we signed, and a strategic partnership framework was signed. So some people say, boy, one day Bill Gates coming to the Caribbean. And if he comes down here, what is he looking for? Is it that he was ever here? I don't know. You tell me. 529-8518. 529-8518. You're listening to Bell the Nation, your biggest conversation on this side of the globe. Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. So we are having a discussion, a conversation. And we're saying we therefore would receive assistance definitely from the World Economic Forum, if that is so, because if a strategic partnership framework has been signed between the United Nations, of which we are a part, the World Economic Forum, of which Bill and Melinda Gates is the only strategic foundation partner, definitely. I'm wondering, do they have our best interests at heart? It does seem so. And so the question, does this come at a cost? Did they give us financial assistance, medical assistance, or otherwise at a cost? What it is that we will have to pay or give in return for anything that the World Economic Forum gives to us by way of support. Because, believe you me, when you sit and you analyze it, you wonder, we are a small nation state. Are we effective in the development of the United Nations? And I could tell you we are sitting on the United Nations Security Council, so we must count for something. Hmm? The other major consideration is, why is there so much misinformation? And can this misinformation be really misinformation or a sick, twisted joke about a dreaded disease called COVID-19? And who would go through all lengths within the medical field to tell us that something is good or bad for us? Why? Why is it that we are held basically at the mercies of these professionals? Shouldn't our professionals in Sindhis and Grenadines, medical professionals, be honest enough to come out and say, look, if you take this, this is what's going to happen. If you don't take this, this is what's going to happen. But you, like me, would have been listening to politicians since the beginning of this pandemic. And it's the politicians that were actually outlining to us some serious health issues. Until within recent times, you may have a thing or two with probably, one of the ministers of government who is, asked to hold the portfolio of health. He may have said a few words and so on. And then there is still some sort of disconnect going on. So the citizens of this country have no rights? Huh? What's going on? We don't have nothing. You tell me stretch out my hand and you're putting an injection inside my hand. Then thing you turn on social. Well, thanks to social media, you put on the thing there, and you start listening, and you hear it say, you shouldn't really do that, because something will happen to you in 2 years' time. You may just drop down. And indeed, I went to a meeting just the other day about a month ago. And somebody walked up to me and said, listen, my son was in a line in a particular country. And he said, Daddy, don't take that injection, because somebody was standing in front of me. When the person take the injection, they drop down dead. I mean, these are things that are happening. And naturally people are getting scared. Next thing you turn around, you call you anti-vax. You're an anti-vaxxer. For people like me who have children, we can't be considered anti-vaxxers. We just want honest answers, because we have children who would have gone to school. We put them through the system. They have to take polio. They have to take all the sorts of injections and so on, so that their system is, bolstered. And the immune system is properly, I don't even know the medical term. But the issue is that people like to brand you to say, you just go and stand up. Well, I'm not one like that who just go and stand up and take an injection. You have to explain to me why. In light of the fact that a COVID injection just come on the stage just a couple months there. And I'm wondering if there isn't another agenda. And I'm sure some of you are wondering the same thing too. 529-8518. 529-8518. You can call it there at Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation at your service. So so there's so much misinformation and again, I'm wondering if this thing is a twisted joke and if they're messing with our heads. But anyhow, as a strategic foundation partner of World Economic Forum, how does Bill Gates factor into this COVID-19 disease related to pandemic, epidemic, and vaccine patents? I know what I found is this thing with a patent. What it means? Government authority or license conferring on a right or a title for a set period, especially the sole right to exclude others from making, using, or selling an invention. The question is, did Mr. Gates own the patent on the making of the COVID-19 vaccines? What did the news say about this? Well, I just scanned the internet for all kind of news. So the Observer newspaper say Bill Gates, one of the most prominent figures advocating for mass vaccination, doesn't think it was a good idea. And that was sometime in April. But then he took a U-turn in an interview with Britain's Sky News. I was listening to Sky News as well. The billionaire philanthropist was asked if he thought it would be helpful to lift intellectual property protections, or a patent is an intellectual property, protection on COVID-19 vaccines. And to many people's surprise, his answers was no. That was in the Observer. But thereafter, he had to take a U-turn. So he reversed his position since it drew negative vibes from many countries. Because Bill Gates, working in close connection with Charles Schwab from the World Economic Forum, that's talking about the fourth industrial revolution, that's talking about all these things. One would want to think, well, okay, what do they have to gain if they don't want anybody else to have a right to make a particular vaccine that could help us out there? So he is known as a philanthropist, and that billionaire who is co-founder of Microsoft. Let me ask you then, should I ask my electrician whether he can advise me on how much ink I should put in my bread mixture? Gates is a philanthropist. He's not a doctor. Could it be that Mr. Gates is probably not qualified to advise on medical aspects of the coronavirus? Can we trust his advice on the spread of the disease or even the making of a vaccine? What is his real interest? And if I see him, I go ask him that. You think I prayed for us? I go ask him that. Because I have him in no bad way in my head. I just want to know why. So, over the past decade, Gates has been warning about the lack of preparation and systems that are in place to deal with infectious disease threats that could lead to a pandemic. I don't know how many of you saw the 2015 TED Talk. He has on multiple occasions pushed for more awareness about the possibility of a pandemic and more efforts to prevent this possibility, such as that talk. And then people thought, oh, he advocating for this and so on. I listened to that myself. I had to give him cut the man some slack. And he was, to me, in my mind, there and then, I'm thinking, critically analyze what he was saying. He sounded quite relaxed, quite moderate in his attempt to help us to understand that, look, in this world, St. Vincent Grenadines included, you've got to be careful that, there is a lack of preparation and the systems that we have in place to deal with infectious diseases is really, really something. And so to speak, we are where we are. So is it true? That's another question I'm asking. Is it true for his own reasons? Remember he and Charles Schwab were together, strategic foundation partnership and the World Economic Forum. Is it true that for his own reason, he paid for this virus to be manipulated? That's a question. I don't know. You tell me. And so, as a strategic foundation partner, I am sure that he too would have listened to Schwab's comments in 2020 and in subsequent years, which is to make the world more fair, make it more inclusive, stimulate economic revival. Hear the word again, economy and economic, and the transformation. Schwab, by the accolades that were placed on him all through the years, definitely, He is an economist for sure, but why the interest in a transformative stimulation of the economies of the world, according to him only? If you were to take a look at the November 8, 2020 YouTube call to action, resetting the social construct, sorry, Jobs Reset Summit in 2020, you'll hear him for yourself. Don't take my word for it. And so Schwab launched a dashboard for a new world economy. And he has been hinted at it over the years. If you notice all the forums and the organizations that he has actually created, Forum Fora, a social construct. The claim is that we spend a third of our lives working. And given the impact of COVID-19, there needs to be an acceleration of a new world order, a reset of how things were done previously. So are you saying it's just purely economics, purely about economic development and not necessarily about our health, and that the COVID-19 pandemic is probably one that factor into the whole picture in such a timely manner as this? I don't know. You tell me. 529 8518. You can stop me at any time. But what does this social construct mean? A social construct, my good listeners, is something that exists not in objective reality, but as a result of human interaction. So it exists because humans agree that it exists. Remember the partnership I was talking about, the partnership between the United Nations and Klaus Schwab? That partnership exists simply because we all agree that it should exist. And the partnership between Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum and the St. Vincent and Grenadines and the rest of the nations that are within the grouping of United Nations, that social construct exists. Social construct, it exists, not in objective reality, but as a result of human interaction. We joined the United Nations on the 16th of September 1980, according to the narrative. And in this year, on October the 24th, when many of us were taking a sleep and probably hiding from a whole heap of things, not wanting to interact with our neighbors because we afraid that somebody will sneeze and give we COVID, that day was observed, and it has been observed annually. And the United Nations, that UN Day, it's called the UN Day, October the 24th. It has been celebrated since 1948. And this date marks the anniversary of the entry into force of the UN Charter in 1945. I urge you to read upon it. Don't take my word for it. So, about social constructs. So, simply put, a social construct do not have inherent meaning. The only meaning it has is the meaning that is given to it by people. So, for example, you ever heard folks say pink is the color for girls and blue is the color for boys? Now, that's an example of a social construct that is related to gender and the color of items. In our local context, here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, each family member of working age, we have the capacity to earn. Now, somebody might knock me down and say, no, it's not everybody. But, you know, the continuum of things. You have some persons who, let me talk about in that core of there. Generally speaking, we have the capacity to earn, to make a living now. You could work either as an entrepreneur, you could work with government or some non-governmental organization, get a little wage, and then you have the spending power. Now, if you don't work, then you don't get paid. Naturally. Even the Bible says that a man who doesn't work, you really and truly shouldn't feed him. Something to that effect. Eh? Don't quote me on it. The lazy man, you really can't feed him. You know what I mean? So, but generally, I mean, we have the spending power. Once we have the capacity and the capability to earn, yes. Now, if you don't work, then you don't get paid. So, for instance, the churches cannot benefit from us. If we don't work, we won't be able to return our tithes and offerings. The businesses, the benefit, of course, from the money we earn, and we spend it back with them. You buy a little chalet, you buy a little, soap, biscuits, flowers, whatever, artificial flowers and natural flowers and so on. The lawyers benefit from the money we earn, and we hire them to plead our cases, civil and criminal. The fishermen and other categories of workers sell a product or a service, and then they get paid. The doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, you name it, the labs, the technicians, others benefit from the money we earn. And if there's no commercial activity in the island, then we are going back to the days of barter. Fish for banana. Don't know how many of you remember those days, because I remember this lady Lund too. She used to bring up fish from the Layu area. I'm speaking now on the leeward side of the island. And then Lund would come up and she wanted fish, and then before long, you see she passed back down with this huge tray on her head with pure, as we would say, lakatan or bananas. Sometimes, well, not pure lakatan, a mixture. Sometimes they have like, yam, dasheen, potato, and so on from the village in exchange for fish. But we've gone past that age when it used to be bartering. But I'm telling you that something has to be done besides this vaccination program, because it's not one size that fits all. There is evidence that some persons, when they take the vaccines, are getting ill or dying. That's my conclusion. Given all the arguments that I'm hearing on either side of this huge thing called COVID-19. Remember I mentioned the word a while ago about Davos? There is what is known as the Davos agenda from the World Economic Forum. And here what it says, that COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated that no institution, and these are basically reflecting the thoughts and ideas of the strategic foundation partner of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum of the United Nations, of which we are a part. Yes, because that is the Davos agenda. That the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated that no institution or individual alone can address the economic, environmental, social, and technological challenges of our complex, interdependent world. I agree with that. That the pandemic has accelerated systemic changes that were apparent before its inception, and that the fault lines that emerged in 2020 now appear at critical crossroads in 2021. The time to rebuild trust and to make crucial choices is fast approaching, as the need to reset priorities and the urgency to reform systems grow stronger around the world. The Davos agenda is the pioneering mobilization of global leaders to shape the principles, policies, and partnerships needed in this challenging new context. It is essential for leaders from all walks of life to work together virtually for a more inclusive, cohesive, and sustainable future as soon as possible in 2021. You didn't mention anything about God inside of this thing, The constitutions of many of our countries talk about God, the supremacy of God. They don't mention nothing about God inside of this. And sometimes what you find is that people sit down and in their own way of thinking, they're deciding the future of the rest of us without God's leading. And when that is done, mankind has a way of developing without God, their own agenda. I am seeing that coming through. My opinion, I'm seeing that coming through as clear as crystal. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is part of the OECS, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And we are in an international organization that is dedicated to economic harmonization and integration, protection of human
Greeting.
and legal rights, and the encouragement of good governance among independent and non-independent countries in the Eastern
We have a
Caribbean.
call on the line, please.
A call on the line. Yes, caller, go right ahead, please.
Greetings. I give thanks to the that sent me this thing. I'm calling out of and
Hello.
I don't know really what is the intent of the discussion, but
Yes.
it's that there's some
But I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you well at all. You're cutting in and out. Yes, but let's see if we can and pick up on what you're saying. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Hello. I'm trying to.
Hello. Yes, go ahead, please. Okay, I'm not getting him properly at all.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, a little bit better. Yes, go ahead. Thank you for calling. Bell the Nation. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to really thank you and everyone who have produced this program because
Yes.
I got this link from someone from the United Kingdom, but I'm calling from Florida.
Yes.
And I was trying to figure out whether the talk is about COVID or it's talk about, I don't know exactly what, but what I wanted to share here is that what we're seeing that's happening today is another change that is taking place in civilization that has been happening from years gone by. If we go as far back as Atlantis, we understand the story surrounding Atlantis and why Atlantis civilization went down, is basically what you see that is happening right now, where people are infringing on people's free will. In the name of what we call this COVID vaccine.
Yes.
You see? So what is happening is that it is coming to an end of another civilization. Yes. So what they're doing is they're doing their utmost best to create chaos within the world right now. This is why you have all of these things that is happening with COVID and lockdown, because they are basically testing to see how much they could bend your way to what they would desire. And they are definitely going to use it. And I'm telling people now, if they think COVID was bad, watch and see what it is going to come. Because there's more terrible stuff that's going to come. But we got to stay centered. What I mean to stay centered, we have to start to learn to believe or to walk right with the Creator that is within us. If we go back into the Bible shows us that from in the book of Genesis told us when man was created, how man came into being. Man came into the being through the birth of the Creator. So that breath of the Creator is that lifeline that is in everybody. So we, in essence, are an integral part of that creative force. And that is really what we must rely on. But over the years, what we have done, society has done, is that they have domesticated us in a position where it's just like an animal. You put an animal in a cage and you teach the animal certain things. That's all the animal knows. Or you put a bird in a cage, and over the years, the bird thinks that is the only home it has. That's the way we were domesticated in society. And it was done for a particular purpose. For us not to see who we really are as beings on this planet.
Yes.
So they call us human beings to distract us from the divine nature that we have within us. And when I say you, I'm not referring to you. I'm just speaking you as in general.
Yes, understood.
If we at this point in time cannot come to the point of our self-realization of knowing that we are divine beings and we have the direct connection to the Creator, and that whenever we need answers, that's all we need to do. We need to just connect, go from within, and the information is going to come to us. I really don't listen to news anymore from since the COVID thing started. I really don't, but I receive my answers, and I use the answer that is given to me from a higher place, and I use that to deal with my life. You know, and I'm just telling the people of St. Vincent to basically listen with an open mind. Even if you're skeptical, listen with an open mind, but go to your center when you finish. In other words, you and the Creator one-on-one, and ask the question that is deep to you. Ask those questions, whether they sound crazy. Ask those questions, and the information is going to come, because God speaks to us in many different ways.
Yes.
You know, you are filtering a lot of information through this media post. I didn't even know this existed until a brother sent this to me from the United Kingdom. So I take it very seriously that the information that you're putting out is, and I look within it to see what is in this for me. And that's what I am sharing with the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to stop listening to the politicians, stop listening to the imam, the preachers, you know, because we don't know amongst them who are part of this whole situation that's going on globally. We don't know. It could be your doctors, it could be people in different places. We don't know. So we cannot rely on those information only. We have to go to our center and seek the information from within. I told people, if the Spirit tells you not to take the vaccine, there is a good reason why it tells you not to. So you know, I just wanted to share this, because yesterday, a good friend of mine called me from St. Vincent, called me all the way from St. Vincent. She took the vaccine, and she is struggling. She's just struggling. She can't even make it to get up from her bed. And you know, I asked her, why? Why did you take the vaccine? She said, this is my job is the only thing I have. So you see, this is what is happening. People are looking.
Well, I'm hoping that closer. I'm hoping within the next couple of minutes I'll be able to touch briefly on the legal aspect of things. But all through I was given a sort of, and probably we'll have to come at another program on the legal aspect of things, and put a legal context to all of this. So I was, you know, I'm hoping that at least to give us a historical perspective, put in context as to who is behind this, who stands to benefit, and so on. And I'm so glad that you're bringing out some of those very salient points.
Well, yeah, because there's a group of people around the world, and they come in different pockets, and these people, they are the ones who hold the money, the pockets, the pockets of the world. They're the one that hold the money and the world. And that's what basically what they're doing. They basically it's power. It's all about power.
Yes.
But I say we could escape this, but we have to start discerning within ourselves who we really are, what is our purpose here on this planet, and start working our way, our center. You know?
Yes.
And this is what I'm sharing with people. Despite what they're doing, they know the civilization.
Yes.
This civilization is going down. This Eurocentric civilization is coming to an end. They have done what Atlantis did. They have done what Lemuria did. They have done what the Persians, the Babylonians, all of them from way back in time. Those civilizations are not in existence today. Why? Because they went against their lower nature. And once you go against the lower nature, trying to control people's free will, that's a big problem when it comes to our divine providence. It's a big problem. Yes. And all of them who have done this will pay.
Yes.
And not only they will pay, their generations to come will pay. If they do exist here. And everything's surrounding that. They know all of that. It's part of the spiritual paradigm. Yeah. It's part of, this is what spirituality is all about. It's not just about religion. Religion is a little speck. You see, it's a little speck of what we need to dig ourselves into. You know, they are part of all of them are part of a group, and we don't know what position they were put into. Some of them are probably put into position where the family are being threatened, so they give up the people. Give the people up for this situation. We don't know. We basically don't know. But we can't rely on that, or we can't put ourselves into that space. We have to start going center to ourselves and let our spirit now connect with our Creator and let the Creator feed us. The Creator will tell us what to do. We will know what to do once we are connected. You know? Yes. Because we already understand the reality of what is happening out there. Some people, they are upset with you if you don't take the vaccine. Some are upset with other people who take the vaccine. All of this is a whole bunch of scramble. What we have to do is we have to start now realizing that we are very important divine being. Otherwise, we would not be on this planet in this day and time. You know? I just want to share that with Vincenzo. Just don't listen to everybody and follow the decisions of a person because he is Mr. This or of that. Or, titles and things don't bother me because I'm not interested in the title. Because all it's sought to do is to mislead you. That's all it is sought to do. So you got to get centered and follow that and make the decision based on that. I think they're going to be all right.
All right.
You know? Yeah, so this is my contribution. Right. Thank you very much. And I really hope that this presentation could go from strength to strength and to bring out the kind of issues that people don't really want to talk about. This is what we need to do as a society coming together.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paula. Much appreciated. Okay. So I want to thank the caller very much for calling us this evening. And we were looking at talking about additionally where St. Vincent and Grenadines was part of the OECS. I think I was there. But I say that that the OECS is an international organization that's dedicated to economic harmonization and integration and the protection of human and legal rights and the encouragement of good governance among independent and non-independent countries in the Eastern Caribbean. So the OECS came into being on June the 18th, 1981, when 7 Eastern Caribbean countries signed a treaty agreeing to cooperate with each other while promoting unity and solidarity among its members. The treaty became known as the Treaty of Bastia, so named in honor of the capital city of St. Kitts and Nevis, where it was signed. The OECS today currently has 11 members spread across the Eastern Caribbean, comprising, of course, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda. Each of these states are sovereign states and are foreign to each other. Okay? But nonetheless, we are within that grouping called the Organization of Eastern Caribbean. Now, earlier this year, St. Lucia's Prime Minister led the World Economic Forum Davos agenda. See those words coming up? At a special event on Small Island Development. So on Friday, January the 29th, 2021, the Davos agenda, an annual event for leaders, was held virtually from January the 25th to the 29th with 1,500 global leaders under the theme of the crucial year to rebuild trust. The Honorable Chastanet, he led the session on Wednesday, January the 27th, and that was providing leadership and insight on catalyzing a new future from small island states to great ocean states. I am assuming that St. Vincent and Grenadines was represented. The event is or was being held in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic and against the backdrop of calls to recapitalize on the opportunity to reset the economic system and build one that incentivizes sustainable and inclusive economic growth with strong private sector participation. So here again, there's a call for the private sector to cooperate with government in order to strengthen the economic growth and sustainable development of our small island states, because it depends, our survival depends on that partnership and that agreement. And that Davos agenda provided the opportunity for Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Alan Chastanet, to deliver such stirring, captivating words on capitalizing a new future from small islands to great ocean states. It is likely that the strategic foundation partner, Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or at least a representative from that foundation, was present, as well as Klaus Schwab himself from the World Economic Forum, because we are dealing with the Davos agenda, where global leaders from around the world were present. St. Lucia established a significant and meaningful relationship with the World Economic Forum and the St. Vincent and Grenadines too. And they have partnered over the last year to design and develop a number of roadmaps and actionable and evidence-based blueprints towards our long-term development financing. Check out the website, www.weforum.org, and you will get that information. So the issue, our dear listeners, is all about economic development and, of course, our health. If you don't have a healthy nation, there is no way we could actually contribute to any economic development. And as seen and conceptualized through the eyes of the founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. The question, therefore, that we must ask is, are our lives so affected? The workforce on the island of St. Vincent, is it so affected that the economy of St. Vincent and Grenadines is impacted by COVID virus and other illnesses? And obviously the answer is yes, because you have some persons who've become ill and some persons who are ailing, not just because of coronavirus, but rather there are other illnesses as well. But the greater emphasis these days is placed on coronavirus. Why? Why? Are there more people dying from other diseases in St. Vincent and Grenadines than COVID? Is it that when an injection is given, when a person is vaccinated and they die thereafter? I'm talking about the COVID injection. Is it that is the COVID injection that killed them? Or is it that it's a lack of oxygen, as I heard one of the brethren was talking this morning, from cocoa tea and bread? Or is it that there's something else, that they're, what word, a big word they used some time ago, comorbidities? That, in other words, are there other things that are affecting person, and that when the injection is given, that somehow there's a trigger? And one of my good friends died. She called. She said she was supposed to get together with me, and then that's it. The next thing I knew is that she had died. And you're hearing all sorts of things. You know, some people stress, some say this, that, and not really. The blame is not placed on COVID. What is it in those injections? You've seen all sorts of things on social media, and you're wondering, who is telling us the truth? Are our lives affected by the coronavirus and other illnesses? You bet it. It is. The workforce of the island, is it affected? Yes. The economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines impacted? Yes. And I'm asking, is COVID vaccine from Moderna and Pfizer and other companies, is that the only answer to the illness rather, of coronavirus, the disease of coronavirus? Why is it that people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are now suffering from the disease? Can you answer this question? How can we actually get rid of coronavirus? How can we cope with such a disease? Earlier in my presentation, one of the bits of information that I got is that one of the Chinese doctors said that this is a flu that is a hyped up flu that we will have to live with for the rest of our lives. And if so, then, for God in heaven's sake, if we have to live with it, how many injections would we have to take in order to live with this? And what the implications for our immune system in light of this fourth industrial revolution, in light of the Davos agenda? Is there something hidden? Is the vaccine the only medical response to this disease? And are people dying still from the disease, even if they receive 2 or 3 injections? And if so, should our OECD countries, our CARICOM states, should we not sit again as a grouping? Should St. Vincent and the Grenadines call the shots and say, let's listen, we got to know what's happening. If some of our people are dying, granted that they may have a less figure than those who are unvaccinated, but nonetheless they're dying, Shouldn't we have a discussion with the World Economic Forum? If we're in partnership with you, we could sit at the same table and talk. Because if we are supposed to be partners, granted we may be a small partner, nonetheless a partner, and we should be able to sit and talk. If this is a health issue, to vaccinate or not to vaccinate, why were the laws of this country changed to accommodate this vaccination program? Why say to me and you as citizens, oh, the law need to be tidied up? How come the law needed to be tidied up at that particular point in time? And the question is, could a law be legal and be unlawful? You bet it could be. Why was it necessary to make the vaccines mandatory, so to speak, according to the news? But in my way of thinking, as yet, I have not seen a gazetted version of thou shalt take the vaccine or else. If mandatory, does this constitute a breach on my fundamental rights, a prejudice, so to speak, as the Constitution spoke of my fundamental rights and freedom that are supposed to be guaranteed by the Constitution? And the other question is, are all fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution? If so, how? There's the other matter of the significance of the Nuremberg Code specific to human trials, where the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential when it comes to experiments. The question is the COVID-19 vaccine an experiment? And if so, is it essential that you and me should give consent prior to taking the vaccine? Some persons in the earlier parts, I don't know if it is still happening, say that you have to sign some paper that indemnify the particular company to say, well, look, if something wrong with you, after you don't take the injection, you can't carry them to court. Why? And why is there so much confusion about the nature of that coronavirus within the medical community to the point of hitting me and you over the head, beating us down and say, oh, something is really wrong with you? You have confusion backward and forward on social media, people cutting out one another. Why? What is all of that about? Anyhow, let's take a little bird's eye view of the issue, the legal aspect of things. Our Constitution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I want us to read a little part of it. Yeah? The schedule. Alteration of Constitution and Supreme Court Order, Part 1. Provisions of the Constitution referred to in Section 38(3). And Part 2. Provisions of Supreme Court Order referred to in Section 38(3). Look on the internet. Go to oas.org/JURIDICO/PDFs ABSICIC 4 Figure 4 _SVG _CONST.PDF, and you will get a copy of the Constitution there. It's 166 pages. Every Vincentian, teacher, nurse, you name it, whatever profession you come from, you need to get a copy of the Constitution. Because we talk about constitutional rights and freedoms, and sometimes we read it secondhand. Those who are listening who have grandchildren who can go on the internet, I am urging you to get a copy of your Constitution. We are largely African derived with sense enough, yes, coming from various areas in St. Vincent. And we can,
You have a call on the line.
we are able, okay, all right, we pause now for another call on the line. Yes, caller? Welcome to Bell the Nation. Bell the Nation. Bell the
Yes, Bell the Nation.
Compliments
Good afternoon.
The Hill News Network. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Well presented and well informative.
Thank you.
I just want to, I know your time is coming to an end, but I just want to, I'm just going to ask a few questions, not to yourself, but food for thought just for the entire nation, not St. Vincent, but because there are other people listening to the station outside of St. Vincent. As we're talking about this vaccine, there are so many unanswered questions about this vaccine. And as I said, I don't expect you to have the answer. This is just food for thought for us as human beings.
Okay.
What I find strange is that we are living in a democratic country. And it seems like that democracy has been removed because we are more or less approaching a more authoritarian kind of leadership. What I find strange is that when we had our volcano eruption, our Prime Minister came out boldly and said that he's not going to make this vaccine mandatory because we had actually mixed information going out where he was saying that if you don't enter the cruise ship, for you to board the ship, people who are evacuating from the volcano eruption, you have to have your vaccine. And he came on I can't remember if it was Channel 4 in the UK, but there was a station from a TV program from the UK that was covering him, and he went and he visited the northeastern part of the island. And he clearly said that he's not going to make this vaccine mandatory. Now, we are still in 2021. And I want to know, under a democratic state, why is he having this authoritarian approach that if you don't take this vaccine, not only that he's forcing it, but also forcing you from your employment where people have studied for years. There are people who may have financial ties with institutions that can link to them losing the house. So I want to know why he is actually having this authoritarian approach under a democratic state. What I also find strange is that there's two approaches to any medical issue we have. There's always two approaches. There's a holistic approach, and there's also a scientific approach. But what I've noticed, I think people think that they're having a choice, but we haven't been given a choice. We are more or less being coerced. And coercion is where you're being threatened. If you don't take this vaccine, there's a consequence. So I want to know, why are we being coerced into taking this vaccine? Why aren't we being given a holistic and a scientific choice? Why these pharmaceutical companies have been given indemnification? Now, I didn't even know the meaning of indemnification. So then I have to go and do some research. And that is basically saying that indemnification is just a big word to tie up the layman, that the people who are making this vaccine, why are they being given exempted from any liability or any legal implication that anything wrong with anyone who take this vaccine, they would not be responsible. So if you're telling me you're making a vaccine for my interest, for my good, for my health, and you're telling me you're not responsible, why are people still going into taking this vaccine through fear? There's so many questions with regard to this vaccine. I don't think I can go through all the questions tonight. But what I will say, I think this program, this approach with the vaccine should be continued because there's so many questions.
Okay. Yes.
And also, what I find strange, we have countries like the UK, we have countries like the America who consider themselves the world police. If you look at all the world leaders, they all are moving in unison. No one is opposing this vaccine. We have 3 leaders who are consistently opposing the vaccine. Magufuli of Tanzania, he's now dead. The president of Haiti, he's now dead. The president of Madagascar, he came out with a holistic approach, and he now had 2 failed assassination attempts on his life. What I also find strange that Bill Gates is not a medical expert. He came on TED Talk and he claimed that he wanted to reduce the world population. And I find it coincidentally that the same person is now being the advocate of a medical decision. He don't have any medical background. He don't have no medical experience, but yet he's the spokesperson. He said on the TED Talk, if we do a really good job, we can reduce the world population by 15 to 20% through vaccine and Planned Parenthood. And why I find it very coincidentally, the same person is now saying if we don't vaccinate the entire world, we cannot return to normalcy. So our life being controlled by Bill and Melinda Gates and all these so-called leaders who claim that they are there for democracy and our freedom are now coerced the entire world into taking something. We don't know the side effects. It is a experimental gene therapy, not a vaccine. And there's so many things that are being changed. But as I said, I have so many questions. I know the time of the program is coming to an end, but it's just food for thought. Why are we being coerced into taking something that we don't know the long-term effect? It is an experiment, and why the whole world is moving into unison. There's nobody we can go to for an independent assessment on this vaccine. We have been put under house arrest for something that was not deadly.
What about the judiciary?
So that is my contribution. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Yes, thank you. Thank you, caller. A lot of food there for thought. Because I was now going into our own constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And before the caller called, I really scratched the surface now. And I will come back again and we will dig a little deeper into how the constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines can be altered. Whether or not our rights and freedoms are guaranteed wholesale, so to speak. But let's pick up from here. So the schedule, and it says, whereas the peoples of the island of St. Vincent, who are known as Vincentians, have affirmed that the nation is founded on the belief in the supremacy of God and the freedom and dignity of man. B, desire that their society be so ordered as to express their recognition of the principles of democracy, free institutions, social justice, and equality before the law. C, realize that the maintenance of human dignity presupposes safeguarding the rights of privacy of family life, of property, and the fostering of the pursuit of just economic rewards for labor. D, desire that their constitution should enshrine the above-mentioned freedoms, principles, and ideals. And whereas St. Vincent, which comprises the inhabited islands of St. Vincent, Bequia, Union Island, Canouan, Mustique, Myro, Petit St. Vincent, Prune Island, and all other inhabited or uninhabited islands, islets, or islets, pronunciation depends on how, caves or lands lying between and give the latitudes and longitudes, is henceforth to be styled St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Chapter 1, Protection of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. And it goes on to say, fundamental rights and freedoms, 1, where every person in St. Vincent is entitled to the fundamental rights and freedoms, that is to say, the right, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, or sex, but subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interest to eat and all of the following, namely, and it goes right down to C, A, B, and C. And I'm seeing that we are very close to the time of the end of this program. I promise you, I urge you, I promise you I'm coming right back to this on Friday, God's willing. And we will dig a little deeper into this last portion, which says the provisions of this chapter shall have effect for the purpose of affording protection to those rights and the freedoms subject to such limitations of that protection as are contained in those provisions, being limitations designed to ensure that the enjoyment of the said rights and freedoms by any person does not prejudice the rights and freedoms of others or the public interest. And so, my dear friends, I must end on that note. I must end on that note. Lot of confusion, more questions than answers. And I say to you, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Build a nation, build a nation. And until next time, may God richly bless you.
Beginning
Bye for
Monday,
now.
the 25th of October 2021 and continuing every week, Mondays and Fridays. It's the biggest conversation right here on Bay Hill Radio Station. Build the nation, build the nation, build the nation. We're going to be talking solutions. So why not tune in and make your contributions? Bay Hill Radio, giving the best expressions of you.
To call into Bay Hills News Network, the number to dial is
on this side of the globe from Bay Hill Radio. Welcome to the biggest conversation on this side of the globe from Bay Hill Radio Station.
Bay Hill News Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, CanCarty Radio, and Success Radio Canada and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.